Hi and welcome back to day 5 of the series for beginners. Today we're going to be looking at different seated positions and some people find these seated positions quite uncomfortable, quite inaccessible. I'm going to show you just a couple of tips to make them more comfortable initially, and then we'll go through some of the main exercises that you might see crop up in classes. So the first thing to think about, and I've kind of mentioned this as we've been going through, is a block can be really helpful, but I don't think I've explained why. So when people sit with legs out or legs crossed, whatever that is, what we often find is that the posture slumps and slouches like this. Okay, you might feel that kind of temptation, you might see it in other people. And what's happened here is the pelvis has rolled back. Okay, that has caused the rest of the spine to round and the neck to curve. Okay, so not very comfy. What we want to do is actually adjust this pelvic tilt, and then the rest of the spine can sit on top of the pelvis. So by lifting the hips just want to be sort of somewhere a bit higher up. That allows your pelvis to come to a more neutral position, and the spine there, hopefully you can see, can stack much more effectively. Now, I'm using a yoga brick today. You could use something sort of half the size, more typically a yoga block, whatever works, but have a play around with that and see what suits your posture. The next thing I'd like to show you is using a rolled up towel or something that kind of cylindrical shape. I've got actually a couple of hand weights that I'm going to use for this today, but a rolled up towel will absolutely do the trick. So if you need to grab a couple of towels, please go and grab those now. This is for seated if we're sitting in straddle or if we're seated in our kind of pike position. And again, this can be quite tough on hamstrings for some people. So what I'm going to suggest is that you just pad under the knees. So this is where your rolled up towel, or in this case my hand weights, might come in handy. It just takes the kind of stress and the strain out the hamstrings. So that might be a nice option for you. You might like that in conjunction with your block as well. So do take time to try these things out. If you can sit in a taller posture with your spine taller, you're going to get the benefit of the movement when we get into the movements. For now, popping those to one side, and we're going to get on with a warm-up. So if I can have you seated with your feet spread apart and the knees bent, you can put hands down to hold on here, or again maybe a block under the bottom to help. We're just going to take our knees side to side. That's it. And allow your hips and your bottom to roll left to right so that we get this internal and external rotation happening at the hips. But we also get this gentle rotation into the low back, which feels really good. So just taking those. And then we're going to fix the hips. So bringing your sit bones to be grounded on the mat or on the block, and then taking the knees side to side. And hopefully you can feel that the butt cheeks and the sit bones are not lifting anymore. Okay. So this might reduce your range, will reduce your range, and that's okay. Because all we've got now is the thigh bone moving side to side in the hip socket instead of the whole pelvis rolling left and right. And then I'm going to ask you to come to a comfortable seated position for you. Another one I'm going to suggest is maybe sitting back on the feet, which might not be super comfy. So you could take your block, your rolled up towel, or a ball, something like that, to come back to sit on the heels. That helps to take some of the pressure out of the knees. Okay, so I'm going to try and give you lots of different tips as we go. We're going to take our elbows nice and wide, and we're going to just draw our elbows down as if they're squeezing down to the base of your ribs, and then gliding up. So drawing elbows down towards the base of the ribs and gliding up. So we want to get these shoulder blades to really squeeze together, but also draw downwards. So we're getting a nice squeeze and a nice activation in the mid and low back. That's it. So warming up there, working that elevation and depression of the shoulder blades. Wonderful. We'll go for about another 3 here. Now, if you are getting a little bit tired, or feet are getting a little bit tired, if you're kneeling, feel free to change position. The other thing you could grab is your rolled up towel again. And if you are using your rolled up towel, again, I'm just going to use the balls here as An alternative, you would take that rolled up towel just at the front of your ankles there, so that your ankles don't have to be quite so open, okay, quite so long. Takes a little bit of pressure off. So that's another one that you could try if you want to for this next position. So I'll just turn around to face you now, whilst you guys decide exactly where you want to sit. And we're going to do our cactus arms. So we're going to bring those arms wide again, but this time pull your arms back, your elbows back, and lift through the rib cage. We're then going to swoosh the arms forwards. As we do, tuck your chin round your back, tuck your tailbone. So we're in like a big forward bend. And then as we inhale, bringing the cactus arms, lifting the ribs, stick your tailbone out behind you, we're in a back bend. Exhale, forward bend as the arms swoosh forwards. Inhale, back bend. Exhale, swooshing, rounding. Inhale into back bend. Exhale, swooshing, rounding. Inhale into back bend. Exhale, swooshing, rounding. Inhale into back bend. Last time then, let's swoosh and round. And then bring ourselves back up nice and tall and gently releasing the hands down towards your sides. So that should be the spine quite nicely warmed up. We're going to take this into a straddle seat next. So you might like your rolled up towel underneath your knees there, or you might like the block under the bottom. Okay, they would be my recommendations for this one. And we want your feet flexed slightly wider than the hips. We're going to take our arms out wide and turn the palms forward facing, settling down through the shoulder blades. Let them settle down towards the bottom. You want to find a nice openness across the chest there and create that length at the back of your neck. So we're going to take a twist. Now, common misconception here is that you have to reach all the way over to the opposite toe. Not the case. We're going to keep in line. So at the moment, I have got my right hand over my right leg. It might look like mirror image to you. And then we're going to go up and over the hip towards the toe. So I've got same arm coming down the same leg. And then I'm going to sit up tall again and then rotate back through to center. So again, just remind you to settle your shoulders down, flex your feet. We're going to take a rotation through the spine. So think about elongating the spine at this point, levitating up and out over your pelvis as you come and fold forwards over the hip towards your little toe, and then gently rearranging the spine tall again and back to center. So they call this the saw. We take our rotation, tall spine, dive up and over your hip towards your toe, nice and tall, and back through to center. Take your twist, tall spine, up and over towards the little toe, lovely and tall, and back through to center. Again, set those shoulders down, keep those toes pointing skyward. Take a twist, up and over your hip, that's it, and tall spine, and back through to center. One more time, let's take a twist, tall spine, up and over towards your little toe, and bring it tall, and back through to center. Give your arms a release and roll your shoulders. So the purpose of that exercise is you can probably feel a bit of hamstring stretching, a bit of pelvic stretching, but also you can feel the stability in the shoulders. So we're going to have another go at that, keeping this idea of shoulder stability in our minds. So we'll just do 2 more to each direction. If you can turn your palms forwards again, settle those shoulders down, and you want to keep a line from your middle finger to your other middle finger, so keeping that lovely line, but just settle shoulders down. Take your twist, arm over leg, and forward fold. Good, bringing it tall and rotating back to center, middle finger to middle finger, twist, tall, saw, tall spine, back through to center, twist, tall spine, saw, tall spine, back to center. Keep flexing the feet, twist and tall as you go over your hips, saw your little toe, and we come back through to center and release. And again, give those shoulders a bit of a roll around. Feel free to change your leg position if you need to, because again, holding that posture can be quite hard work on hamstrings and hips. Another common Pilates exercise is some sort of variation on the spine stretch. Now we're going to sit in our pike position. So that is with your legs out fairly straight in front of you. Now options here to adjust might be a block under the bottom. Again, it might be that rolled up towel under the knees here to make things more comfortable and make things accessible. Because if you're already tense before you've even started the movement, we don't give ourselves the best chance of success or improvement, do we? So spine stretch. We are going to take a really nice stretch up. Think about grounding through the sit bones. Think about elongating through the spine. So think about that decompression idea, vertebra moving apart from one another. Then we're just going to set the arms in front of us. From there, just settle the shoulders down the back. So we bring the collarbones open again. And we're going to come up out of the pelvis like we did with the saw. So you're going to kind of elevate up out of the hips. And then you're going to start to dive forward. Now, instead of forward folding and hinging from your hips, I'd like you to draw your belly button back, draw your ribs back, and create a stretch and a C-shaped curve in your spine. So if you have a little look at this, this is very different, this C-shaped spine, to what we would consider a forward fold, which is a hinge forward at the hips. Okay, you see that difference? This is me in the forward fold and the hip hinge, and this is me in the spine stretch. So slightly different. A little bit more core activation in the spine stretch here because we're using our core to facilitate the structure of the spine. We relax through the arms and we roll up to nice tall spine again. So stretching, find that elongation through your spine. Resetting your shoulders, so shoulder blades down, collarbones smiling. We're going to go up out of our hips. Imagine we're diving up and over, but pull your belly button back, pull your rib cage back, maybe your tailbone tucks a little bit here. Use the core to hold this C-shaped structure, relax the hands, and then gently start to rebuild your spine. Stretching tall. Arms come to center. Let's draw the shoulder blades down. Up and out of your hips, dive up, dive over, draw your belly back, draw your ribs back, create that curve, so that we're stretching out towards the back of our vertebra there. Release through the hands and rebuild through the spine. Stretching tall. Setting shoulders and shoulder blades. Come up and out of the pelvis. Diving forwards, drawing the belly back, drawing the ribs back, creating that rounded C shape. Relax arms. And nice and tall. And last time. Taking that reach up. Finding that set through the shoulders and shoulder blades. We're going to go up and over into our dive, pulling the ribs back, pulling the belly button back. We're going to hold here, engaging through the abdominal, and then I'm going to ask you to find your forward fold. So hinge forward through your hips, reach down towards your lower legs. Relax your hands beside the legs onto the mat, and then gently roll back up to a seated posture from there. So we're going to be working with that C-shape, that curvy spine again in our half rollbacks. Now a really nice option, a really nice prop is one of these balls just to help take some of the fatigue out of the lower back. When you're new to Pilates, these exercises can get a little bit fatiguing, a little bit crampy because you find as your core is starting to build its strength, your back is kind of a little bit over vocal sometimes. As your core gets stronger and you start to use the lower, deeper abdominals, your back muscles can relax off a little bit and they have a bit more confidence. So if you've got a ball, fantastic. If not, it's not the end of the world, don't worry. If you're going to use your Pilates ball, it can come under, just tuck under the sacrum a little bit there. And we're going to bring our feet to a nice hips width apart with the knees bent. Again, ball entirely optional. We're going to bring our arms to a big cuddle position and we're sitting tall on the sit bones. So we're in the straight spine initially. Again, set shoulders down. And this time you're going to start to push your lower back into the ball. If that doesn't make sense because you've not got your ball, you're going to roll back from your sit bones and roll back to your sacrum. Yeah? So you've gone from the sit bones up tall and you've just rolled back to the sacrum. Now, what needs to happen is if you do that roll back to the sacrum with a straight spine, it's going to get quite tense and quite tough quite quickly. So as we take that roll back to the sacrum, we're going to just tuck and round through the lumbar and then come up nice and tall again. So rocking off the sit bones to the sacrum, rounding through the low back, let the rib cage soften and then lift the ribs tall, tall spine. So from sit bones, tuck to the sacrum, let the rib cage soften, and up tall. And that is it, okay? That is your half roll back. We're not going really far back, okay? That's something that can come with time if you want it to, but creating the shape is actually where you're going to get the deep core connection. So the shape is all we're after. From the sit bones, roll back to sacrum, soften the ribs. Let's hold here for a breath. Another breath. And then up tall again. Now what you might find as well, just to help out, we think our body's helping out, is tension across the shoulders. Your shoulders might be kind of gripping, you might be holding a little bit of tension at the jawline. So what I'm going to suggest is that you imagine you have put a coat hanger into your t-shirt so that you've got this nice width across your collarbones again, nice and tall through your spine. Settle the shoulders down on that coat hanger so they're supported, and then we roll back towards the sacrum, soften the ribs but keep the coat hanger in the t-shirt and lifting up to tall spine. So again, rock back to the sacrum, round the lumbar, soften the ribs, bring that coat hanger back into your t-shirt so the width and the relaxing through the shoulders, and then up tall again. So rounding to sacrum, softening ribs, coat hanger in t-shirt, and lifting the spine tall. Let's go for one more. And we're going to hold this one. So another nice visual is to imagine in your pelvis here, there's a little hollow. Imagine there's a bowl of soup there, and you're going to just deepen your soup bowl. So that's a really nice way to draw your abdominals in a little bit deeper, and then we'll lift up tall, lifting the ribs towards the knees. So again, gently roll back to the sacrum, soften the ribs, coat hanger in t-shirts, and then deepen your soup bowl, your bowl of soup that's just here in your pelvic girdle, and then lift your rib cage up high. And roll to the sacrum, tuck through the lumbar, soften the ribs, coat hanger in t-shirt, deepen your soup bowl, and up tall. Last time then, rounding back to the sacrum, good, soften ribs, coat hanger, and deepen your soup bowl. And then gently back up. Nice. So let's just go for a bit of a forward stretch there. You can pop your legs wherever. You can cross them in, have them out, whatever you like. And we're just going to take a little bit of a forward fold of your choice, really. So just get into a position that feels good to lengthen out through that low back. As we said, the lower back can get a little bit vocal in those positions. And that is something that will improve over time as your core strength improves. That won't feel quite so grippy in the low back. So starting to then walk your hands back in, please. And we're going to move on to some prone exercises next. Prone just means anything lying down on your front, really. So we're going to lay down, do an arm preparation movement, which is going to get your mid back and your upper back and the backs of your shoulders to help support shoulder and arm movement. We're then going to take this into back extension, which means a back bend for the upper back. Okay, so I'm going to talk you through this nice and gently. Let's begin by lying down on our tummies. Bring yourself down. You could, by all means, fold a towel or use a yoga block underneath your forehead. If that's comfortable, it might just stop your nose from squishing into the mat. And we're going to have our arms down beside us. Okay, so if you need to, you keep watching the video. At this point, you're welcome to come to a comfy position and watch the video. I'm just going to do this in a few different parts, but 3 different parts. So part 1 is just going to be to start lifting the shoulders away from the mat. So as the shoulders lift, I can feel the rear shoulders and the upper back engaging. Then I'm going to lift my palms, and as I lift my palms, I feel the mid back engaging. So sort of mid and base of shoulder blades are engaging there. Then step 3 is going to be to reach down towards my toes, and my shoulder blades start to squeeze and grip down towards my buttocks. Okay, and that is it. So if you want to join me on your front now, get yourself comfortable. Relax the forehead on the mat. Again, a block or a folded towel under the forehead can be nice. And just relax into position. So first things first, you've got your arms beside you, your palms up to the ceiling. You're going to lift your shoulders off the mat. That doesn't have to be the highest you've ever lifted your shoulders, okay? You don't have to be at full range for this one. But just so you can feel the backs of the shoulders and the upper back, so sort of the tops of your shoulder blades, squeezing and engaging.
Now lift the backs of your hands off the mat so the palms levitate towards the ceiling a little bit. Feel hopefully that your mid-back has engaged, so middle of the shoulder blades and base of the shoulder blades. Now reaching your fingertips down towards your feet and feel the base of the shoulder blades draw down towards the bottom. And then relax the palms, relax the shoulders. So there's quite a lot going on there actually in a very simple arm lift. Let's have another go. Let's go shoulders, lift away, feel the upper back squeeze. Hands lift off the mat, feel the mid-back squeeze. And then draw your fingertips down towards your toes, squeezing down through the shoulder blades. And relax hands, relax shoulders. Again, shoulders lifting, hands lifting, reaching down towards the bottom of the mat, shoulder blades drawing down the back. Hands relax, shoulders relax. Again, shoulders lift, feel the upper back engage. Hands lift, feel the mid-back engage. Reach down towards the bottom edge of your mat. And then relax hands, relax shoulders. Wonderful. So bring yourself to a position where you can have a little look at the next example. This is going to be an arm pulse. So we're going to be using this to build and get a little bit of heat. Okay, you might feel the backs of the arms engaging, but also hopefully the mid and upper back that we've been using already. So have a little look at this one. It's going to be shoulders, hands, reach for the toes, and then we're just going to pulse the palms. So again, I'm not at full range, I'm not up here. I'm just holding nicely so that I can gently squeeze into the mid-back. Okay, so join me on your front when you're ready. Make sure your nose and your forehead are comfortable, and we are going to lift our shoulders off the mat. Again, you don't have to go full range. You're going to lift your hands off the mat, reach down towards your toes, and then start to gently pulse, 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 pulse. Keep that kind of a speed going. Think about squeezing into the mid-back. Keep reaching down towards the mat as you pulse, 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 pulse. Keep it up. Try and take a breath. You might want 2 pulses per breath, 3 pulses per breath, whatever works. Keep it up. Nice and long at the back of the neck. Maybe think about lengthening your lumbar here. See if that's helpful. And draw your pubic bone towards your chin. That will help you to then add on that extra core engagement. Good, keep going, arms working hard, back working hard. Drawing pubic bone towards chin so the abdominals are engaging here. This becomes much more full body movement then. 3, 2, 1, hands down, shoulders down. Relax, let's take our hands either side of the body. We're going to push back to one of our stretches. We're going to push back to our child's pose. So taking your bottom back towards your feet, arms outstretched, and relaxing the head toward the mat. Let's take 3 more deep breaths here. And then for our next bit of prone work, we're going to have a go at the dart, which again is quite a common Pilates exercise. This is going to be our arm preparation, but adding on the lifting of the head and the chest. So have a little look at this one. So far, it's familiar. It's going to be shoulders, hands reaching to the toes. From here, I'm going to think about my nose. I'm just going to start to gently roll my nose forwards until it lifts naturally off the mat. And gently start to lift my head and my chest. Now, common misconception here, a lot of people look forwards like this and you can see my neck is just in a bend now, it's in a curve. It isn't in neutral. So I'm going to keep my gaze down and I'm going to just pinch my chin in slightly to help lengthen the back of my neck before taking my head down, my hands down and my shoulders. Okay, so let's practice another one of those together, laying down on your front and joining in with shoulders pulling away from the mat, hands lifting away from the mat, reaching down to the toes as the shoulder blades grip down the back. Start to gently just roll your nose forwards until it starts to lift off the mat. keeping the back of the neck long in line with the rest of the spine. Lengthen your crown forwards. Draw your pubic bone up towards your chin again. Let's feel those abdominals engaging here. And feel that length from your crown all the way to your tailbone. Relax your head back down. Relax your hands. Relax your shoulders. Awesome work. Let's go again. Shoulders. Squeezing into the upper back. Hands lift, squeezing into the mid back. Reach down towards your toes. And then start to just gently draw your nose forwards until it lifts off the mat. And start to lift head and chest away, elongating through the back of the neck. And again, we're not trying to lift up as far as we can into the biggest back bend ever. We want to think about spinal elongation, so lengthen through the crown and lengthen through the tailbone. Relax head, hands, shoulders. Nice, let's go again. Lift shoulders, lift hands, reach to the toes. Just gently trace your nose forwards. Your nose will come off the mat, and that is your indication to lift your head away from the mat, elongating through the spine, drawing the tailbone towards the bottom end of your mat, and drawing the pubic bone towards the chin. Relax head, relax hands, relax shoulders. Let's go one more time. Shoulders lift, hands lift. Reach down towards your feet. Start to trace your nose forwards, your head, neck and chest will start to rise. Draw your pubic bone towards your chin. Lengthen from the crown down the spine to the tailbone. And relax head, relax hands, relax shoulders. Place the hands either side of the chest and push back to your child's pose position. This can be knees narrow together, or this could be knees wider apart to create some space for your chest and your tummy. So stay nice and chilled in the child's pose. I'm again going to offer a couple of suggestions for rolled up towels and or balls. So you could use your rolled up towel underneath the front of the ankles again, okay? If you find that really helpful in the child's pose, that's worth a go. The other one that's worth a go is rolled up towel or ball under here, which I think we mentioned earlier on in the session. So that's between the feet and the ball. That should take, between the feet and the bottom, that should take pressure off the knee joints a little bit. Now the other option is the ball or the rolled up towel across the front of your hip crease. Okay, the rolled up towel might be a little bit better there. And again, this just takes a little bit of pressure out of the hips. The ball I think is a little bit too big for this one, but rolled up towel across the front there would be awesome. So a few things that you can play around with and that are worth knowing, because child's pose is a really common movement in many classes, isn't it? We're going to have a go at our downward dog as well for a deeper stretch for the back. So I'm going to ask you to come forward to your plank position, and once you're in your plank, start to lift your hips up towards the sky. You are welcome to move your hands and your feet to a more comfortable position to make this stretch feel more accessible and more beneficial. Now this is a tall triangle, so we're trying to lift our tailbone as high as we can and encourage our heels a little bit nearer to the mat if possible. And then just looking between the legs, relaxing the head, relaxing the neck there. That's it, nice deep breath. So slightly deeper stretch, but again a really nice stretch for the back chain of the body. And then gently bringing that back towards hands and knees. And we'll come to sit comfortably, whether that's on your block or on your bottom, wherever you want to be. So I do hope that that crash course in seated positions has been really helpful. I know seated positions can be a challenge, okay, because of tight hips, because of tight hamstrings. So hopefully I've given you some food for thought and some good adaptations that you can take into your classes or you can do at home to make those much more effective. We've got 2 more sessions for our beginners series. The next one coming up is all about breath work, which I know intrigues a lot of people. It's quite an interesting one, so I think you'll enjoy that. And then our 7th session is going to bring everything together that we've learned so far and just put it all into one full class. It will flow, hopefully you'll enjoy it. Might be a little bit of a challenge, bit of brain work, bit of body work. So
Thank you for joining me again. Make sure you click subscribe. There is a button down here somewhere. That means you won't miss anything and you can see all of my other classes that I'm posting every week. Thank you for watching.